Hi, welcome to episode 38 of Virtualized Geeks Tech Talk. This is Keith Townsend from virtualizedgeek.com, and we're going to talk about VMware's vSphere and VSAN solutions. But we're not going to talk about the speeds and feeds of the solution, but more importantly, about the overall importance of VSAN and NSX to VMware's software-defined data center and kind of strategically what VSAN and NSX means to VMware and how they kind of, or at least how I believe they're positioning the vSphere hypervisor in relationship to the data center and the future of IT infrastructure in general. So, just let's give a little history lesson and talk about kind of OSs and platforms throughout the past couple of maybe 20 years or so, at least the 15, 16 years I've been doing IT. And when I first entered the industry, there was a player in the market called Novell NetWare, or a product Novell NetWare by a company named Novell, who's now a primarily a Linux company. And then there's a kind of newcomer to the file and print world, which is what Novell dominated at that time. And that was Windows NT Server. And then later on, Windows Server 2000, 2003, 2008, etc. Novell kind of ruled the market when it came to file and print and directory services. They had a solution called Novell Directory Services, NDS, LDAP-based solution that was very robust, kind of the standard for directory services. And then, of course, their file and print services were rock solid. They owned a good majority of the market. Microsoft's Windows NT, notoriously bad for underperformance and reliability. Eventually, though, Microsoft kind of won that battle of the file and print server, not because they eventually became a better file and print solution, or because Active Directory was any more compelling than NDS. It was specifically because Microsoft's Windows platform was a platform that could be developed on. So it was a general purpose OS similar to Unix, similar to today's Linux, that could serve more than one function. It was kind of convergence. The last Tech Talk, we talked about kind of the impact of convergence. So Microsoft used their position with developers to position applications as much more important than file and print generally, or at least as important as file and print, and got a foothold in an enterprise, and the rest is history. So now we kind of have the same thing going on when it comes to the hypervisor. VMware, solidly best hypervisor out there, hands down. You won't get an argument from me on what position VMware has when it comes to x86 compute. And Microsoft's Hyper-V, decent solution, similar to their position in file and print in the early 2000s. Decent solution, not as good as VMware vSphere, but you know what? It's serviceable. So if you see a pattern happening, it's kind of Microsoft's strategic strategy. A solution that's good enough for 80% of the market, plus a bunch of other value add, makes their competitors kind of go away. VMware is a pretty smart company. The strength of their hypervisor is in obviously a bunch of different areas. Its performance, its security, and its management, and the ease of management is the word I'm looking for. And we're going to focus a little bit on security and kind of why VMware has been extremely careful about opening up the hypervisor as a platform, similar to how Windows is a platform. So Martin Casado and Pat Gelsinger, doing his announcement of VSAN and a YouTube video Martin did on security in the hypervisor and the software-defined data center, they use two terms I don't know if everyone really count, or one term that I don't know if everyone really caught, and that's the concept of the Goldilocks zone. So the Goldilocks zone is kind of the sweet spot of IT security and performance, where you have services running in an area of compute that are secure enough that they're hard for intruders to hack, but provide a great level of performance, close enough to the core of the compute that it provides a great level of performance. This is the value proposition of VSAN and NSX. Both are integrated into the hypervisor, which means that you get exceptional performance. So if you look at kind of where VMware was and where they're going to, and how they provided similar solutions. So VMware had a VSA virtual SAN appliance, which was an appliance that ran on top of the hypervisor. So it wasn't integrated into the kernel of the hypervisor, which meant that it had a bunch of limitations. It obviously wouldn't be as scalable. The performance wouldn't be as good. So now you have vSAN, which is scalable to 32 nodes, can do 2 million IOPS, and I think 4 petabytes of total storage. You have NSX that you can apply security rules at the layer 2 level of the networking stack. The performance, it obviously scales. I think I saw a Twitter post from Martine a month or so ago that said that they have a customer with 7,000 virtual switches in a single NSX environment. So extremely scalable, it's extremely robust because of the ability to run it within the hypervisor. So this is obviously a shift from VMware saying the hypervisor, we're going to limit the number of services that you can run on the hypervisor, which makes it secure, to saying that, you know what, we need to protect our market and we need to add value. We need to show our customers how we're going to continue to add value. And the only way to do that is to make the hypervisor a platform. So VMware has moved from the hypervisor just being x86, a virtual x86 platform, to the hypervisor being a platform. So in my opinion, it's a way for VMware to protect its turf and move away from being considered just a hypervisor. And more importantly, it opens up a kind of door for them to have a relationship with developers. I've beat up on VMware quite a bit about their lack of relationship with developers. When I go to developers within an infrastructure, they could care less if an infrastructure runs on VMware vSphere, NSX, whatever the NSX, they don't care about the infrastructure. They have applications that needs to make calls to the infrastructure so that their applications can scale. This is what the software-defined data center is all about. This is what cloud computing is all about. So VMware has no hand or no influence when it comes to the developer community. And this needs to change. And this can change if the hypervisor becomes a platform. I got into a pretty robust conversation with an analyst the other day. I was defending the point that VMware can be kind of a platform. It can be the cloud computing platform going into the next decade if they embrace the developer. And he kind of argued, you know what, VMware has never embraced the developer, so how could they start? You know, why should the developer even care about VMware's offering? And, you know, and I kind of talked about the ubiquitousness of Windows Server and what they've done to x86. I can take my code that's ran on Windows Server and run that on any x86 platform. So as these HP Moonshot type servers that run on ARM servers in general, abstracted data centers, whether they're cloud-based or whatever, as they start to mature and start to look more appealing from a CapEx and expense perspective, VMware needs kind of an end for that. And I thought about it, you know, what if the hypervisor was a platform? What if it didn't matter what the underlying infrastructure was, kind of the thought of VMware virtual platforms in general? What if it didn't matter what the infrastructure was? Didn't matter what the networking was, didn't matter what the storage was, didn't matter what the x86 physical hardware, or not even x86, the physical hardware was? What if VMware could guarantee developers that you take your code, you write it for our platform, we can guarantee that it will run on any hardware platform or any cloud platform out there because we've abstracted it. So VMware is a company that likes to abstract things, whether it's storage, whether it's networking, whether it's x86 compute or the data center itself, doesn't matter. It's abstracted. You can take your Windows workloads and run them on any infrastructure, regardless of the underlying hardware. But tomorrow, what if you could write your application via APIs or directly onto the hypervisor, and then you can run that same application on any platform. Doesn't matter the underlying infrastructure, whether it's Amazon's cloud, OpenStack's cloud, KVM. What doesn't matter, VMware will provide a common interface, kind of write once, the promise of Java, write once, run anywhere, but one that really works. Or even the value prop for the infrastructure guy, which I don't think this value prop is a long-term deal, but that you can take your abstracted software-defined network and run it, take your same operating model and run that across any cloud platform or any hosted provider and kind of normalize the infrastructure. So VSAN and NSX, very, very important products to VMware, not just because it opens up new markets for them, but because they're showing that the power of the platform of the hypervisor, or the hypervisor as a platform, whereas previously the hypervisor wasn't a platform at all. It was just another way to present x86 hardware. Well, that's it for this episode of Virtualized Geeks Tech Talk. Look forward to talking to you on the Twitters. You can follow me at Virtualized Geek, or you can visit the website virtualizedgeek.com to get more of my industry insights. Thanks and have a great day.